Howdy, Possum Patty here. It is September 17th and the California wildfires are getting close. Well, I mean, they're still 3,000 miles away, but all this gray sky is from the California fires. 3,000 miles away, and this is what we have. Yes, it was a very strange day today. First, when I went outside, the gray skies, the smoky gray skies, started irritating my eyes. My eyes were getting very itchy. And then a fellow came over to cut down some dead trees in our yard, and it got quite loud and noisy. But as I was walking around the yard, I discovered this wonderful cluster of mushrooms. I challenged myself to do a picture without making black lines with my micron pen, like I usually do. And I used a variety of different pencils. I used some Derwent watercolor pencils, which I've used before. And I used a few PrismaColor pencils. And I used a few Graftint pencils. Now the Graftint pencils are sort of like the Inktense pencils that I used the other day. And that is, you can draw with them or color with them. And this color is Port. This is sort of a purple color. And this is a green color. But when you add water to them, watch. Beautiful colors. So my picture today has a little bit of a softer look. Another thing about using the colored pencils was I really liked the texture on the mushroom caps. Now I believe these are the same mushrooms I found another day, and I called them the magic mushrooms. I'm not really sure what they are, which doesn't matter because I'm not going to eat them, so I don't need to identify them. But I really wanted to learn something about mushrooms because I'm trying to learn some more about mushrooms. And what I learned, well, I learned a couple things. The first thing is that when the mushrooms grow, looks like they're growing all out of one little spot, that's called a cluster. So you have mushrooms that grow individually or single. You have mushrooms that seem to grow all from one spot, and that's called a cluster. If you have a bunch of mushrooms, but they're kind of coming up separately, but they're close together, that's called a troop. And then, of course, you have mushrooms that grow in the shape of a ring, and that's called a ring of mushrooms. Another thing that I learned, just from watching these mushrooms, was at first that it looks like a button. And then underneath, kind of like a veil, pulls away, and you start to see underneath the cap. And then once the cap is fully exposed, you can see the gills underneath. And then I took a walk up the lane. Well, I was just walking up the lane to get the mail, and here's something I didn't notice before. It's a shrub with some orange berries. I don't know what this is, but they sure are pretty. I don't know if they're going to turn red or stay orange. Maybe they'll turn red. It's not a bittersweet because it's a shrub and bittersweet is a vine. And this is what the leaf looks like. So I don't know what this is. I shall take some pictures and try to figure it out, but I don't know. It looks like a big branch came down on it. I'll have to move that later. Sometimes you'll go by a tree early fall and you'll say, oh look, those leaves are turning color. What a pretty red. But you know what? That is poison ivy. Poison ivy does get a pretty red in the fall. And the leaves of this tree are way up there and they're going to be yellow. They're not going to be red. So if you see anything red on this tree, it's poison ivy. And then when I came home and I was in the art studio sketching my mushrooms, playing with my pencils, all my different kinds of pencils, my husband walked in and handed me a package. And everyone who does a nature-themed journal seems to have this Edith Holden book. And the pictures are beautiful, so I wanted to get one and check it out, because this is a book that I don't have. Let me get the package off. The Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady by Edith Holden. So this is a 1977 reprint of The Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady. These are nature notes for 1906, and all the notes are hand-drawn, ink and pen, and she illustrates the pages, and she makes up her own fonts, all hand-drawn. She puts notes and quotes. Oh, look at these leaves. Those are gorgeous. I like the way the paper's all antiqued. A moorhen. Now these are going to be birds and trees and flowers from England. But some of these we have here. February. Like people plant snowdrops. So I was thinking I was going to cut this up and use it in my nature journal. And I'll look at the pussy willows. And then I was thinking, well, maybe I wanted to save it for inspiration. So I think I will not cut this one up until I get another one. I'm going to try and find another one. And then maybe I can keep one. I'll keep the one that's in the best condition and then use the other one for my nature journal. This is so lovely, I don't want to cut it. Look how she decorates the pages. Oh, isn't that pretty? I just planted this periwinkle in my yard, and I planted some pussy willows. And I need to plant some daffodils. Well, I'm not going to go through the whole book, but I'm going to go through it myself. Like red admirals. Oh, they are red admirals. We have those here. Gorgeous dragonflies, water lilies, damselflies, foxglove. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I'm going to take a time and just enjoy this book. So thanks for coming along today. Happy nature journaling. Bye-bye now.